recording started. Yes, absolutely. Hello, my beautiful audience. This morning with me is a great person, and we are already the flow, and we have already agreed. The most important is to be natural and human being. So, welcome to the next episode of our podcast. Diversity is the great changer, and our subject today is AI, fintech, Web3, and diversity. And me and my guest, we try to figure out how we can intersect these topics in the most powerful ways in our modern world. And I'm your host today, Valeria Artnes, and I'm more than privileged to present our new guest today, my lucky five, like I already told him, a fearless, resourceful, fair-minded, forward-thinking, world-class business leader, Alvin Foo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Valeria. Thank you for inviting me to your show. I am happy and I'm honored to be your number five, and I hope that we're going to have a exciting discussion around the topics that you just mentioned earlier and whatever other topics that you think it's right for your audience. Happy to be on the show.
Thank you so much. Alvin is a senior internet and mobile media executive and entrepreneur with more than 20 years of experience in Asia Pacific. A distinguished venture partner, co-founder, and mentor with over 25 years of experience in the tech industry. Alvin has held leadership roles in many famous companies like Google, Nokia, Omnicom, has co-founded innovative ventures such as DAOventures and NASDEX, raised a proud and beautiful family, and
Thank
inspired
you.
thousands of people around the globe. So, Elvin, welcome again, and it's a great, great honor for me to speak with you. And I would like to start, of course, with little Elvin. Without little Elvin, no way we could have this great Elvin today. And of course, we are people, we would like to know the storytelling of the people who is behind these great personalities like you have become, right? So my first question to you, dear Elvin, before we dive into your professional achievements, let's go back to your childhood. What experiences or values shape your passion for innovation and technology? And were any defining moments in your early life that sparked your curiosity about technologies?
Okay. I don't think there's a clear path or there's an explanation how I got into technology, because all these are truly accidental. I'll tell you a bit of the story later, but it's really accidental. But one thing that came along in my formative years was I was always very curious, and I will always want to find out. And my parents always encouraged me, go find out, go learn. And in those days, unlike today, where you got a lot of technology, a lot of tools to help you to find out. In those days, because I'm not so young, right? So in those days, there was no internet. So if you want to find out something, the next best thing to the internet was the encyclopedia. I'm not even sure that whether you heard of it. So encyclopedia is a stack of books, right? That range from A to Z, that you can learn everything about, technology, science, and so forth. And we could only dive into those books, right, in the
Yeah.
library. And most family at that time cannot afford an encyclopedia because it was not so cheap, and most of the time you can access them in a library. So in those days, finding information wasn't that easy, and that's why, in those days, when we always term that if you know information, information is king. I mean, these days you will laugh about it. How can it be king, right? But in those days, information means king, and and the fact that I was growing up in a family where I was encouraged, you go and find out. So I built this characteristic, and that I like to find out, and I read a lot. And I mainly read, even in my very early days, I read a lot of nonfiction.
Yeah.
Not There's nothing wrong with reading fiction. Okay, I mean, I know a lot of my friends, and even people these days still read fiction, and I just happen to love to read nonfiction. And on top of that, I like to read books about other people, like, biography of somebody, right? And it was that curiosity that brought me into many things that I'm doing today, right? If you track my journey, right, I've gone into many sectors, and none of the sectors are what I did in my college. I did a law degree in my college. I
Mhm.
completed my law degree. I practiced as a law, and that was it. And after practicing for a very short period of time, I decided that that's not what I want to do. I want to get onto another train, right? And all the train that I hop onto has got nothing to do in my formative years in my education. And all this land to a very basis, I said, right? I always encourage people to be curious. And if you
Mhm.
are curious enough, you will go and find out. And then that fact finding will then create, right, an opportunity, an option for you to decide and consider whether you want to explore, right? Not every single thing that I go and find out that I end up exploring, right? There are things that I just stop halfway and said, yeah, yeah, it's nice. It's a nice to have, and that's about it. Good knowledge, and that's done, right? But
Mhm.
curiosity is something that I continue to live until now, and I'm still very curious, even at my current age, right? So the one thing that really structured and also shaped my life was my parents that continued to, like, drive me, push me to be very curious and then go and do a lot of fact finding and learn.
Thank you for so advanced answer, and I really try and also to improve my skills, not to interrupt people. I actually not very good at that, but I know. Of course, encyclopedia. It's also I made in Soviet, and at my school, of course, no internet, and I even didn't have the phone in my flat, and even not on the block house I lived. So we had a school library, and it's not like always was the guarantee that you go there and you can have the book. You should be in a line, and you should wait for that. So yes, and I knew information to, to get the information, like you said, it's a king. We just use it like it's the greatest power, who own information, own the world. And it's still like that, right? Just now probably it's another aspect. It's overwhelming, a lot of information, and how to find the right one, and how to really collect and produce process, it's a little bit another perspective. And thank you so much for sharing me about your family. I could read about your father and how he was and still contributes and being your mentor. And I was very glad to discover. So your dad's mentoring, you have mentioned couple of many times in your interview, and you have shared that he shaped your life from the very young age, and still it's very impressive for me. And I know that's why I choose you also, because the subject of podcast, my podcast special, the diversity, and it's all type of diversity. And when I could read your career, I believe, oh my God, he is so diverse. And I'm agree that curiosity, which you have mentioned, and also to be like open and flexible to a lot of different subjects. Because I could also read your quote. You said that it's learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? And I love it. And I put also now it's my one of my motto as well. Yes, why it should be wrong to like start learning something, find out, yes, probably it's nice to know, fair enough, but it's not my, like you said, my first degree, I have two master degree and PhD, but my first degree also I found very quickly, oh, okay, to know, not my subject. And yes, we need to encourage more people about being more diverse and flexible. Learn, if not unlearn, relearn something new. So thank you so much for your first answer. Okay, and then we probably start going to your career, and you have already mentioned that you started at the law school. I know it was your domain, but then you went through advertising and marketing and towards one of the greatest leaders in the tech industry. Uh, how do you believe that embracing and inclusion influence your career choices and growth? And can you please share a project where probably you could successfully combine diversity, fintech, martech, and AI to create a transformative solution? Very open, wide question. You just can reflect actually, as much as you want.
I think a lot of things that I do over the years, right, are really a combination of many things. Trying to leverage people from, talent from multiple, background, and also encourage the talents to be looking. Even though I had a very big team that was really advertising driven. I consistently, even many years ago, like more than 10 years ago, I always tell them that you need to explore beyond what you're doing. You need to look at the impact of technology. And I've been talking about AI even 10 years already, right? It was not impactful then. There was no chat GPT, but there was already glimpse of AI in the form of, if you use things like Amazon, or even any of the e-commerce services, you will see that there's a recommendation engine, right? The recommendation engine that recommends you what your friends read, or what other people read, or what other people purchase, and recommending you similar product. That's a glimpse of AI,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Through machine learning and all that stuff, right? It basically pushes you, right? Things that you may want to consider. So these were examples of what the future may look like. But of course, that was probably not even 1.1.0. That was probably the beta version of any AI. And when you look at emerging any of these emerging technology, right? And you start to look 10, 20 years down the road, right? You can then see how it would impact future businesses.
Mhm.
And that's why when I gather my team, I always like to bring team from a different, very diverse background.
Okay.
And just the other day, I was just chatting with some of my friends, that we were having discussion, and what I said was, if you want to game change your business, the
Yes.
last thing that you want to do, right, is to find people within that same industry to game change it. To game change any business in your current industry, you got to find skill set from somewhere else. Because
Absolutely.
someone who has been in the, let's say, advertising industry, let's say you're from advertising, if you try and find someone who has got 20 and 30 years in the industry and trying to game change that industry, it will never change, because
Mm,
that person brings along with him, right, a lot of experience, but at the same time, a lot of legacy, a
yeah.
lot of, he may have been shouldering a lot of this legacy that he brings with him. And for him to change is very difficult. He can't see beyond that square box. Now, to think out of that box with for that business, you need to find someone else who is not in that box. So now it's always easy to say think out of that box, right? Now, thinking out of the box is to me is really a myth. It's very difficult. But if you
Yeah.
find someone else to look into the box from outside, that's easier to change. So
Yeah.
so diversity, right, in many ways, right, is actually you need diversity to really game change, right? Thinking out of that box. And like what we always call the blue ocean thinking, yeah, right? If you look at what a lot of companies are, let's think out of the box, right? And most of the time, it fails. It fails all the time, because everyone who's in the box can never think out of the box until you bring someone from external, right? So diversity actually is great in that sense that it provides, right, that extra, perspective that you cannot see. But the thing is that easier said than done, because a lot of time when you gather the leadership team to talk about building new models and all that, they always find people within the industry,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Right, because it's safe. And
yeah.
especially if
Yeah.
all these companies and organizations are made up of publicly listed company on the New York Stock Exchange, or very old companies, right?
Mm,
It's always safe to
yeah.
work on what they are used to, right?
Tradition.
Right, very, and that's why most companies, if they're organized in a way to repeat past success, but there will come a point where that past success will never work again. Now
Absolutely.
it happens to Nokia, it happens to Kodak, and it's
Correct.
now it's impacting the auto industry, the
Okay.
traditional auto industry like the Volkswagen, the Mercedes Benz. They are facing the same problem because now they are faced with EVs, right, hitting the market. Right,
Mm-hmm.
these are all a new group of auto manufacturers, right, that's
Mm-hmm.
leapfrogging, right, from the
Yeah.
traditional supply chain, right. So now they are stuck, right. So the same structure or the same organization that made them very successful
Mm-hmm.
is at the same time, right,
Yeah. Right.
causing the main problem of moving forward. So the only way to gain changes, right, is to really bring in real diversity and real thinking out of the box, right, to fix a problem. And like I said, it's easier said than done because when you look at when there's a problem in any of these multinational, they will bring back someone else who has got lots of experience, right, but from another automaker,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
So and why
Blind.
do they do that? Because maybe he was successful with that brand for many years, and it's safer to bring him over. And if
Mm.
he screw up, right, it's always easier to tell your shareholder, I brought in the best guy,
All
right?
right.
He has got 20 years of success, but the problem is that 20 years of success, right, was past success,
Yeah. Right.
right? That
Right.
would not catapult you,
Yeah.
right, to
Mm.
future success.
Mm.
You need forward thinking. You need disruptive thinking because you're dealing with people like Elon Musk,
Mm.
very disruptive,
Yeah.
and yeah, and very disruptive, and he doesn't give a shit of what shareholder says because the shareholders actually listen to him. If you invest into Tesla, if you invest into any of his startup, right, you will always realize that everyone is willing to support him.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to traditional company, right, it's very different because they are supported by traditional shareholders who needs to be incentivized to stay, right? And the only way to incentivize them to stay is make sure that your stock price goes up, or either that you give them good dividend every year,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
right? But when
They
you
don't want
follow,
risk. Yes.
go ahead.
Thank you. It was really great answer again, and I would like to immediately reflect that you will be one, not just my fifth, one of my favorite, because my podcast, it was totally my name. Diversity is the game changer, and you have been repeating, and it was so smoothly for my ears so many times that diversity is really game changing. So thank you so much. And yes, I'm completely agree with you that blind thinking, which you called blue ocean thinking, we can never use. Now everything is developing, and especially in technology, so rapidly. It's so ever evolving. You can never really rely on past experience. You should really try to understand how to think completely different and so globally. And I like very much also, I could read in one of your interview that you like also the rule or quote by George Washington, right? That actually you should do things, common things,
In
just
uncommon way.
in an uncommon ways. Exactly, it's how we're speaking about these approaches in a different way. It means differently. It means disruptively. But if you have the same people from the same school, from the same culture background, socioeconomic background, no diversity, how then you can sit all together and try to make things differently? No, you need different people with different perspectives, right? To challenge each other, to have great constructive discussion how to challenge each other. It doesn't help in some cultures. You are afraid to come with some disruptive suggestions, right? And I'm again made in Soviet, and for me, when I moved to Europe, Norway, so I was kind of still like talents culture that it's punishing to come with something new because you never know it works or not. It's much safer, like you said, just follow tradition. But it doesn't help anymore. It really doesn't help anymore. This blind thinking. We need, like you said, all this out of thinking, right? Boxes, because also people who are using all the technologies, they are not the same. They are not in the boxes. So
Right.
how you can match the demand of those people, of your clients, then right, it's not logical even for me how you really want to establish something for global consumers, and all consumers are so different. You can never be doing with just one blind thinking, right? So we
So
need really people who thinks differently. And like you said, it's risky. Yes, it's risky, of course. And try to take this risk and make something differently, disrupt, really disrupt, not just in the words like you said, but in actions. So thank you. I understand that you found out
I
that.
want to like point out one term that you use the word risky, right?
Right.
These days, is that it's even more riskier when you don't take risks.
Exactly. This is really risky to be unriskable. Exactly. I'm so agree with you. Yes. And if we dive a little bit more about this technology, right? How do you envision emerging these technologies like Web3 and AI, and of course decentralization reshaping business in the near future? We know you never know. It's happened so quickly. At the same time, you have also advised that people please use technology, of course, but don't be really in love with that because it's ever evolving, right? But you should be open, like you said. It's risky not to take risk. And which role do you believe diversity should play or will be playing in these processes further?
I mean, the biggest impact that I see the world's being impacted is really through AI. Uh, I think most people can see how AI can help them,
Mm,
but most I think most people can see, but majority cannot see how impactful it may be.
not yet.
Uh, and to me, I think when you look at a lot of the disruption that have taken place from internet, from mobile, and so forth, right? I
Hmm.
think the biggest disruption that we have ever seen, right, we'll see, right, is probably in AI
Hmm.
because it's impacting every industry, every category, uh, jobs, people, how we do our work, and our life,
Hmm.
everything. And machines are going to take over so many of that mundane jobs, right, that we don't like, or even job that we like that the machines can do better, right? So AI to me, right, when you look at 5-10 years from now, cars being driven on its own, machines being fully automated, right?
Hmm.
We may even have a chef that is actually a robot, right? And you got companies like Tesla and so forth building up, robot that can serve you, and that's game changing. That's very disruptive.
Hmm.
Not only that your life is made easier, but the people who are doing those work in those days, currently doing that work, may not even have a job, right? And the job replacement is very real. So long term wise, I think the economy will fix on its own. People will figure that out, and then they will reskill. But the short to mid term will be very painful. The reality is going to be very painful. Writers, who used to write, now the machine and chat GPT is doing the writing, right? So
Yeah.
the short to mid term is going to be very impactful on recruitment, on jobs and so forth. But long term, just like any evolution from industrial revolution to tech revolution to
Yeah.
internet
Yes.
revolution,
Yes. Mm.
there's more jobs created than anything else. It's just that we need time for people to adjust and then reskill. Yeah,
Mm.
but short to mid term, there's going to be a lot of panic, right? Like even within some of our startups, right, that they have actually removed some headcounts because Chat GPT is doing the job,
Oh.
right?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And these days, remember I was saying in those days, right? I had to go and look at encyclopedia. So
Yeah.
before I even craft out any presentation or any comprehension, I need to go and find out information. And now ChatGPT now can go and do all that stuff for me, right, in a matter of seconds. So
Yeah.
meaning, if you know how to leverage these tools, it will work to advantage, because instead of now in the past that I can do one PPT a day, I can probably do 20 in a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I can do a lot more. So my level of productivity is going to increase. And not only that, right? People who's going to start companies or start startup, right? They're going
Mm-hmm.
to be able to start companies a lot faster and a lot cheaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot, because now that one person, now Sam Altman was just saying, there will come a day, right, where a startup is worth 1 billion started by one person, or run by one person. It's possible, because that one person is probably being fed, and probably being, a lot of that job is being automated by AI, and also AI agents and so forth. So that one person is actually running that job of many people through the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Quite possible, right? So AI has got that power and very disruptive. And to me, that will then be the heart of everything, empowering all the other technology, and at the same time game changing all the industry.
Mm-hmm.
That's how powerful it is. But many people don't see that yet. They only see, oh, chat GPT, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that, but that's in any technology evolution, right? It's always people, most majority will only see the the
The scale.
little thing that impact them, but they can't see anything beyond that, right? So
Right.
now in my job, I always like to push really far into the future. What does it look like in 20 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Cars being driven. Imagine if cars are being driven by machine, right? So now we will have more time. So instead of spending time, I know there are lots of people who say, oh, that day will not come so quickly, because there are still a lot of people who love to drive. Driving, it's a hobby, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of people will end up not driving. And when you don't drive in your vehicle, right? What are you going to end up doing? You're probably going to look at your of social media. You're probably going to do e-commerce. You're probably going to watch something on Netflix. So again, that driving time becomes media consumption time.
Mm-hmm.
See? So meaning, when the car is being driven by someone, your media consumption time actually increases, because
Mm-hmm.
you now spend 2 hours, right, in front of your car doing something before you were driving, before you were stuck in a traffic jam, right?
Right.
So that's just one example, and many other things that you do at home that used to be done by yourself, machines are helping you to do it. So that will free up a lot of your time.
Mm-hmm.
Or some of the analytical things that you were doing at home for your work before, right, you were doing it yourself. Now the AI agent that you empower them is doing it for you while you were sleeping, or while you're going to the gym. So
Right.
so machines, in that sense, right, can bring a lot of benefit to us if we know how to make good use of it.
Exactly. If we, and then it's again about curiosity, because we people, it's known with us when we went through some major changes like industrial revolution, right, and technical revolution. So we are all kind of afraid to take really to dive into something new, and we are used to think that even the process itself it's more painful, the change itself, the process, than actually the result, right? And people, like you said, that they immediately try to find or dilemma or what is scary, because all uncertainty actually may kind of fear, right? And now I think also many people, because like you mentioned, they don't know yet really what's going on, and so people are afraid to lose jobs, of course, and maybe not even certain what kind of education they should take now to be
Right.
adjustable to the future professions, right? And also, we are raising another topic like ethics, privacy, and security in tech, right? And I know that you are a very strong advocate for ethical AI, and we all know data privacy and security are critical topics. So, how do you believe companies can ensure that they use the use of AI respecting both human values and machine advantage and technology, which will be, yeah, happening anyway, like you said. Now, how we should deal with
I
this
think
is.
regulation is catching up. We definitely need the regulators from each jurisdiction to create framework
Mhm,
on this issue, because anything to do with ethics, privacy, security are something that needs to be regulated. Right now,
mhm,
I'm just giving an example. Right now, if you look at generative AI, anything that's on generative AI now, any images that are being generated are coming from an original image.
mhm,
They are all coming from an original image that's being optimized for that purpose, right? So if you don't create, how do you now account for the copyright of that original image that you're generating from? So currently, everyone is just taking generative AI tools, right, and recreating something of their own, right? So right
mhm.
now, there's no law around what happens when I create, right, an optimized version of a cartoon character from Disney
Mhm.
or maybe from Marvel, right? An optimized version of a Superman, right, or optimized version of a character, very popular character on Disney. Right now, there's no law that governs it, but the reality is that we are taking those pictures from the original copyright owner. So, but I think the law is catching up, and I think regulation will eventually catch up, right, and provide framework what you can use and what you can't use. It's just like
Mhm.
the early days of music streaming. You remember the days? There were
Yeah.
days in those days that music streaming was it wasn't streaming; it was actually download. That people could
Oh,
just download from
right.
anywhere, from Napster and so forth, right?
Mhm,
And there was no law that governed them, and that people could download quite freely, right? And as long
mhm,
as you're part of the community, you can download songs or videos and all that stuff. These days, you can't already, because there's clear laws, right, to protect copyright owners. I think in AI, it's also the same thing, because AI is moving so quickly. Now, if you look at ChatGPT, right, from inception, started early of 2023, and just under 2 years, right? Look at the amount of development and progress that it has made, humongous, right? And the reality is that the laws and regulation don't change overnight. It takes time, right?
yeah.
So it will eventually catch up at some point. And always it's a technology that run first, and that the regulation will catch up at some point, because we need those regulation. At least now, number one, the technology providers knows exactly what they can do and what they can't do, and also to make sure, right, now when there's a bad actors in those situations, right,
Mhm,
what are those action, right, that amounts to illegality, right? What are those actions? Right now, not very clear, but in the future, I think it's going to be very clear. There's going to be clarity as time goes by, because we need to make sure that there's laws, right, that protects people from bad actors. Now, when
mhm,
you have very powerful AI, right? Now, we talked about benefits earlier. Now, the benefits of AI, but there's also a great disbenefit when the bad actors start to use AI to start terrorize networks,
yeah.
right? Right. Instead of you protecting your network using AI,
Mhm,
right? The smartest bad actors would also be using the same tool to attack you. And now you're talking about quantum computing and so forth, right? Wow. So when you make something very powerful, yeah, it's powerful when you put it to now when you use it for a good cause, it's good benefit. But at the same time, on the flip side, you can also use it for a very bad cause. And that's where cybersecurity and so forth and regulations are there, right, to make sure that you protect those instances, right, because it is a very uh, logical thing to do to protect yourself, because I can guarantee you there'll be a lot of people using those tools to then attack you and then to blackmail you, and that's a fact, right? I mean, the world live on in the reality of the world is that there's always going to be the good actors and bad actors, and that won't change,
Yeah.
right?
Of course, we have seen that already in history so many times, because weapon is just weapon, like hydrogen bomb. It's exactly, but it's like you said, it's in which hands this very powerful tool can be used. It can be used for good purpose and for bad purpose.
I
It's
mean, it is
everything
what it is,
what we have
right?
created very powerful.
Everything has got both sides of the coin, right?
Yeah,
Everything there's both sides. There's the good and the bad,
yeah,
and something that's so powerful, right? If you use it to your advantage, it's powerful. I mean, it's a benefit. Like people like us and you, when we use AI in a good way, it
mm,
increases our productivity, right? But
mm,
those people who are using AI, they are using AI to scam others, right?
yeah.
Right. So
Depends
again,
on the
it all
person.
depends on which side are you on, right? So, and that's
Mm,
why the laws are there. There's a requirement in law to protect the investors and protect the users, because these are the majority people who cannot see, right? Right, the power of these tools, right, when being used, right, in a negative way.
yeah, I think also it's very important to reflect that everything in technology and all this AI, it's actually data, and who has created this data. It's just very sensitive topic. I believe that we really need to consider that it should be very representative who make the data, because you know it's still in some countries, some it's still this industry are, at least for many in their heads, are very gender unequal. It's mostly male, right? And when male maybe proceed the data, it like you said, it's everything is actually represented who made that. So we need really to focus on uh,
I think
diversity.
I think
Are
you're referring. I think you're referring to the notion of biasness, right?
Yes, exactly. I wanted to say also
Right.
about this ethical part, not just like powerful source, of course, like it can be.
So this is where I think Elon Musk made a very good statement on AI. That he's very concerned about how AI is being developed. Simply because now, if you don't develop in the way that it's supposed to be, but it be developed right, then or the data that you fit in is not the way it should be, or the true or the truth, right?
Yeah,
Then what you
yes,
end up, right, is an output
why?
that's very
Why?
biased.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I want to talk and smoothly come to next topic, which is very important to me, since we are speaking already about anti-bias technologies, and that really diverse representation should be in developing data. And now actually more and more people, they are um, involved in raising the subject about neurodiversity, neurological diversity. And actually we have already mentioned Elon Musk many times, and he is one of the greatest representatives of being neurodiverse, and he was one of the first who came with that openly and talked about his neurodivergence, autistic spectrum, for example, right? So, and for me, also being a neurodivergent, it's not the secret. I'm trying to convert it from just, people call it deficit and disability, to also kind of superpower, that maybe we can help other people to encourage just to look at themselves not like deficit based model but strengths based model. So neurodiversity brings unique perspectives to the table, and we know that tech industry is ever evolving and requires innovative solutions, right? We have already thought so many times, and you've been at the forefront of significant changes. So, do you believe that neurodiversity can play, should play, or plays a crucial role in industry like AI and digital transformation? And with neurodiversity, I mean people with specialities. Our brain are wired differently. I have OCD, for example, and other people have autistic spectrum. It's almost 30% of population actually in our world has this neurodivergence. How do you reflect about that?
I think everyone has a role to play, and everyone who has got that special talent or special capacity, right? Capabilities could be streamlined, right, for that purpose to really drive certain part of a company or a specific industry. Because now, like what you were saying earlier, may sound like a short. I mean, it's a shortcoming for someone who is neurodiverse, but at the same time, it's a superpower. It
Yeah.
depends. It depends how you leverage that and read now. I know of some kids, right,
Mm-hmm.
that are having similar problem, that are having this neurodivergence,
Mm-hmm.
and if you know how to tap on them, right, they are good artists. They are good musician, right? They are good
Exactly.
at what they do, but you need to find out and discover, because if you just look at them, they are not normal kids. They're not normal, right? But
Mm-hmm.
but if you know how to tap on what they're good at, right, that becomes their superpower, and they're gifted in that sense. But the sad thing is that, I mean, the unfortunate thing is that the entire system is geared towards developing very normal people, so they
Yeah.
don't tap onto these talents.
Mm.
uh but if you know how to tap onto these talents, I think it would be a game changer.
Do you have any advices to maybe entrepreneurs how to create more neurodiverse inclusive environments, or maybe about recruiting campaigns? Should actually people like me be transparent about that when we need to seek a job, that we are different?
I see no problem why you don't have to be transparent. I think you should be transparent. You
Mm-hmm.
should be transparent. I mean, I don't see that. I mean, personally, I don't see that as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I see that as a. I mean, I don't see you as a problem. I don't see, if you tell me that you're having this problem, as a problem. In fact, if I know that you're having problem, I think I can deal with you better. And I think the companies or anyone else that can be able to relate to you better and know how to tap on your skill set, right? Instead of just keeping it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that most organizations, maybe new startups, right, who are more aware of neurodivergence, are probably more likely uh, that they will provide framework to the hiring team, right, on who
Mm-hmm.
to accept, right. But with most companies and corporations, I won't name any, I don't want to name them, but most corporations don't provide that as a standard framework. But again, if I were you, I mean, I would tell that I'm a neurodivergent, and that's nothing wrong with it. I mean, Elon Musk is one.
Yeah, many people. Bill
Many
Gates,
people,
Elon Musk, yes, most
right? Many,
disruptive
right? So,
brains.
and they're all and they're all very successful. I mean, I think this is not a shortcoming. Is
Mm.
knowing your shortcoming and know how to take advantage of it. If you
Yeah.
if you look at, I mean, if you look at Elon Musk, right? He knows, he himself admitted he's an introvert,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
But look at what he has done. Now, the fact that you recognize that you are an introvert is an opportunity for you to become more extrovert, because
Absolutely.
you keep on trying, right? But you need to recognize it first, right? When you don't recognize, the problem is that when you don't recognize, or you feel shy to recognize it, that's why you will never improve,
Absolutely,
right?
because the problem it's not in neurodiversion itself. It's probably if you make ignorance of that, then it's mismatch all the time, both in interaction with people and for yourself, right? Because you don't have the right rule books with people. They don't know which rule books you are using, and ignore
Absolutely
that you have that. This makes problems. So I,
correct.
yeah,
Correct.
understand. But
I
because
mean,
most
that's why I
people
always advise young people is that, now it's very important. I mean, most people may not have all the answers, right? But
Mm.
you should know what you're good at.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
don't know what you're good at and what you're poor at, right, then it's very hard for you to be very good at what you do in life,
Right.
right? And knowing what you're good at and knowing what you're weak on. Now, knowing what you're weak on does not mean that you don't work on it. You can continue to improve what you're weak on, but harness what you're good at and be very good at it. Because nobody wants to work with someone who's just a mediocre, right?
Mm.
You
Mm.
want to talk to an expert. You want to talk to someone who's really good at what he does,
Mm-hmm.
right? So so you got to harness on what you're really good at, and you got to be so good at it that if someone asks you, "What are you good at, Valeria?" you can tell it in like one sentence, right? Like
Oh,
if you can't even explain to people what you're good at in one sentence, that means you do not know yourself well enough,
yeah. Right.
right?
Exactly. So yes, be truly yourself because I don't remember who said that, but because everybody else is already taken. So be truly the best version of yourself, and like you said,
I
no,
always tell people you are unique. You are
exactly
unique. In this
everything.
world, there's only one you. There's only one you out of that 8 billion of people, right?
Right.
So you are unique. Regardless of what you think of yourself, you are unique. Is how you harness your what you're good at and how you promote yourself.
Absolutely. And before we wrapping up, I would like also to quote one of the person you have mentioned. It's George Carlin. And probably, of course, you know what I'm going to tell. Yes, I have studied. I've made my homework about you. You see. So of course, you're my lucky five now. So yes, I know that one of your favorite quotes. It sounds like that. Life is not measured by the number of breath we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. So please, could you share with our audience a couple of examples of such moments in your life?
uh, Now, if you want me to really look at this part now,
Mhm.
I want to bring. Now, I talk a lot about business about myself, about my dad. There's one thing I don't talk. I've not shared is that now in my life, I think beside my dad that has pivotal in actually driving and helping me out, like in mentoring me, giving me a lot of advice until these days. But the person that really moves me, that person that really drives me is actually my wife,
Wow.
spouse, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I think some for many men, maybe this is hard to always, how to relate this, right? Is that I think my wife has shaped me and also encouraged me and also played an important role, right, in my last 20 years of my career.
Right.
uh because if there's no peace at home, if
Hmm.
there's no warmth at home, there's no way that you can go out and work. There's no
No
way that
happy
you can.
life.
if
Sorry, Alex.
if
I
if,
need to
if
tell
there's
no happy wife, no happy life.
You are right. I always say no. If you don't have a happy wife, you don't have a happy life.
No.
So clearly, she has shaped my life. But of course, marriage is like most marriages. It's not a bed of roses, right? There's always going to be good days and bad days, good and bad days. But it's how you make up, how
Yeah.
you keep on, how you keep on going, and that in that respect, right, I think she, in many ways, played that great role to shape me in the last 20 years. And at least, my parents had brought me that far, and then she took over up until now. And she would be that person that's going to lead all of us, all the husbands, right to the end of life, right?
Yeah.
So if we know how to keep our wife happy, everything else is manageable, easy.
Easy.
Happy wife, happy life.
Har- it's harmony. It's about balance, harmony. It's adorable answer, and it's so profound. I understand. So actually, the moments in your life which really took a breath away, they are connected with your wife, and it's so beautiful and it's so powerful. And we really should thank your wife because after she taken over, she brought you up very well. And because of her, we have achieved so much, and so many people globally. How she could shape you afterwards. Okay, and we have tradition in my very young baby podcast. That last question I'm asking, because it's magical time in Europe. At least it's Christmas, and we all kind of also from childhood and believe in fairy tales, and everybody know this Aladdin and his magic lamp with wishes, right? If you could imagine I'm your genie, Mrs. Genie with wishes, I can grant wishes, but it's a twist. I cannot give three. I can just grant one wish to you. So, what would that wish be?
I if there was one wish, right, I would
Yeah,
wish that
just one.
I would wish that I could create another myself.
Oh,
I
wow.
can create another Alvin, so that this Alvin can continue to do whatever I need to do at home. Serving my parents and my wife, and the other Alvin, right, can go travel the world, go scuba diving, go do things that I can do.
Oh my God,
So
this is
I
so
mean, I
beautiful.
mean that's I know that's a far fetch, but the truth is that if something has to be more practical, is that I mean I do hope at some point that that's going to be a real that the real AI with AGI, that functions almost like a human, can
Uh-huh.
take away a lot of a job that I don't like doing now, that I can pass it to this person. Like, for example, I don't like to wash a car. I don't like to clean the house. If I can pass the
Uh-huh.
job to him and that person does it work right, I think I would love it very much. I mean, very simple stuff, right? I'm not even asking that AI to replace my brain, but do stuff that I don't like to do. I think
Mm.
that'd be great. and,
Okay, I will
and
totally.
I'm sure this is not far fetched. I'm sure this will likely happen in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so one more Elvin, but then this one more Elvin, we need one more wife because how you can live further without her. Then you need to create one more
No,
wife.
the one the original one will stay at home, and no
Ah, okay,
the
okay.
duplicate one will stay
Go
at home,
travel
and
the
the other one
world.
will go
Okay.
travel.
I see, Okay, catch it. Cool. That's very imagine. It is from science fiction. It's very cool EI tech approach. I love it. Okay, then we are wrapping up, and thank you so much for joining us today. Your journey and insights, oh my God, have been nothing short of inspiring. And of course, thank you for our listeners. I hope you're still with us. And don't forget to subscribe and share this episode. Stay tuned for more enlightened conversation. With diversity is the game changer, and we could hear it today so many times from Ellen. It's true. And remember, embracing diversity and fostering an inclusive environment are not just ethical imperatives, but catalysts for innovation and growth. Let's continue together to champion these values in all our endeavors. And until next time,
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
I
Thank you very
just
much.
thank you so much, and I wish you beautiful holiday. If you, I don't know if you are going to holiday with your family. So anyway, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And
Likewise.
of course, I will be looking forward to watch you and everything what's happening. Maybe we'll meet each other again and look what we have already discussed and what actually has already happened.
Sure.
Right?
Right. I mean, I wish you Merry Christmas as well, because there's probably a bigger celebration up north, with eyes and a snowman and probably a reindeer, starts
Yeah.
coming down.
Northern
Right. That's
Light.
always okay.
Yeah. Okay, but then welcome
Okay.
to Norway. Okay, bye
Okay.
bye. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.